So can we please have a moment of silence followed by a serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a big book study. My name is Sarah. I'm an alcoholic. Jim is sick tonight. Marilyn's going to be running the meeting. She went home to get her book, so I'm just going to start everyone off. So can I have a volunteer to read how it works, please?
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program.
Good, we got a meeting going on here.
Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. Were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order, I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were so.
I'm really happy to be here. So, are there any newcomers here at the meeting?
Other than yourself.
Yes, sir. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Ron. I'm an advocate in alcohol.
Hi, Ron. Welcome. Hi, George.
I'm Sarah. I'm not Paul.
Hey, Tara. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm alcoholic.
Hey, Chris. Welcome. Ladies back there.
I'm Mary Beth. I'm an alcoholic addict.
Hey, Mary Beth.
I'm Catherine. I'm an alcoholic addict.
Hey, Catherine.
I'm Noelle. I'm an alcoholic first time in this meeting.
Hey, Noelle. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Regina. I'm an alcoholic first time in this meeting.
Hey, Regina. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm an alcoholic called Asa. First time at this meeting.
Welcome.
Any cleaner? My name is Bob. I'm an alcoholic and a member of the Maryland Spark Group.
Hey, Bob. In the back?
I'm a little addict from New Jersey.
Jersey.
Jake, I'm an alcoholic addict. Jake. Man, I'm an alcoholic.
Amen. Wow, lots of newcomers. Welcome, everyone. Okay, and that is page 151. Thank you. This chapter is a vision for you. This is my favorite chapter out of the big book. I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like there's a lot of really great stuff in here. So let's start reading.
The thing about this is, most people don't have a purpose. Most people's purpose in life is to go to work, find whatever pleasure they can out of life, and that's about it. And just go to work some more. It's we have an actual purpose, and that's saving lives. And this particular chapter, A Vision for You, was written back when AA started. There were only like 100 people, and they were talking about the vision of starting groups in your little towns. Now, we are so lucky to have so many meetings here, meetings at any time of the day. Any time of the day you can find 5 different meetings that you could drive to. And when this book was written, it wasn't like that. They were talking about how you're going to start up your own little meetings in your own little cities and stuff like that. And however, this chapter still applies to us in very, very many ways.
For most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination. It means release from care, boredom, and worry. It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good. But not so with us in those last days of heavy drinking. The old pleasures were gone. They were but memories. Never could we recapture the great moments of the past. There was an insistent yearning to enjoy life as we once did, and a heartbreaking obsession that some new miracle of control would enable us to do it. There was always one more attempt and one more failure.
These first couple paragraphs are really important, so I wanted to go into this. Okay, for most normal folk, drinking means conviviality, a word that is not used much. Companionship and colorful imagination. It means relief from care, boredom, and worry. It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good. I think we all experience this at one time, and to go back to that is what we're all looking for. To recapture that control is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker, as we read in chapter 3 and more about alcoholism. To be able to get back to that kind of drinking, that controlled drinking, is our hope. But not so with us in the last days of heavy drinking. The old pleasures are gone. They're but memories. We can't recapture the great moments of the past. There was an incessant yearning to enjoy life as we once did, and a heartbreaking obsession that some new miracle of control would enable us to do so. So on page 31, it says, science may one day accomplish this, but it sure hasn't yet. And there will always be one more attempt and one more failure. I know that was like that in my life. I really wanted to control it. I was in the program for 14 years sober, and I had a little bubble in my sobriety, 4.5 years, and every day of that 4.5 years, I was dedicated to control this drinking thing. I wanted to show you guys that there was another way other than AA, and here I am. So it didn't work. Anyway, science nor I may want to accomplish this, but we have not yet. All right, now.
The less people tolerated us, the more we withdrew from society, from life itself. As we became subjects of King Alcohol, shivering denizens of his mad realm. The chilling vapor that is loneliness settled down. It thickened, ever becoming blacker. Some of us sought out sordid places, hoping to find understanding, companionship, and approval. Momentarily we did, then would come oblivion and the awful awakening to face the hideous four horsemen. Terror, bewilderment, frustration, despair. Unhappy drinkers who read this page will understand. I don't know about you, but I can really relate to everything that was just read. For me, it was hard first coming around because the only thing I could remember was all the fun, all the good stuff, you know what I mean? But then like towards the end, everything just went down, you know? I was always chasing the original drunk, you know, that first drink. I was always searching for it, looking for it, and it never comes. That's the insanity.
The less people tolerate us, the more we withdrew from society and life itself. As we became subjects of king alcohol, shivering denizens of the man realm, the chilling vapor, momentarily we did, and then would become in oblivion and the awful awakening to face the hideous four horsemen. This is so, I don't know how many of you guys are Bible scholars, but these four horsemen is just like in Revelation in the Bible, talking about the horsemen. Terror, fear, bewilderment, confusion, frustration, and despair. I think that these four horsemen are four different avenues that we have of fear. Fear is our biggest enemy. It is so nice today to have a solution to fear. Page 68. I had another exciting experience at work this week, and one of my other employees who's in the program, his liver's all enlarged and he was having a liver biopsy, and perhaps he's going to be put on a liver transplant list. And I'll tell you, this is no, we're saving lives here, because this poor kid, because he's younger than me, well, it doesn't make you a kid necessarily if you're younger than me, but I like to think of it that way. But anyhow, who knows, you know, if he has much of a future. And we do damage to our bodies. This is not just, you know, a good idea if we quit drinking. This is life and death. And we do damage. My good friend Lee May died this week. Lee was born on my birthday, 10/4, a different year. He was actually 71 when he died. He almost died on his birthday. He died on 10/8. But anyhow, Lee died of cirrhosis of the liver, and he was 28 years sober. So you would think that you were out of the woods maybe after 5-10 years of the damage that alcohol did to your body. But here, 28 years later, he developed cirrhosis from his drinking and died. So, you know, people think that they can go out and have slips and come back and it's no big deal. Well, you know, you can do this irreversible damage, like my friend at work found out that to your liver. But, you know, self-knowledge doesn't keep you sober, but it's good to hear about this stuff. It's fun. But anyhow, let's talk about our fears. This guy had a lot of fears. I went through these chapters with him because he was afraid he was going to die. It was funny because one of my friends that I went out to eat with this week, she's in her 30s, and she said that when she was born, the doctor they misdiagnosed her as a baby, and they brought in the baby to her mother and said, the baby's going to die. And I said, how did they know? You know, like everybody's going to die. Sure, it's 35 years later and you're not dead yet, but you are going to die. But anyhow, I was talking to this guy, and he was full of fear about dying. And we actually have a spiritual solution to fears, and it's all found on this book. Page 68, first full paragraph. We review our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we have no resentment in connection with them. Why do we do this? Why do we put it on paper? There's something magic about taking it out of your head and putting it on the paper. It works. We want to do things exactly the way that the first 100 did it because they did it and they got results. So they put it on paper. We're going to put it on paper. We put it on paper. We asked ourselves why we had them. In other words, we're going to identify our fear, find out what natural instinct is being threatened by that fear. Is it financial security? Is it the social instinct, social security? Is it the sex instinct? What particular instinct is being threatened? And write that down. And self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough. God is the only one that can remove our fears because God gave us our natural instincts. Our natural instincts became warped by our fears, so we cannot change our natural instincts any more than we were given our natural instincts. Only God can change that. So we have to go to God and we have to show Him what our fears are, what it's affecting, and ask Him to remove it. Some of us had great self-confidence, but it didn't fully solve the fear problem or any other. When it made us cocky, it was worse. So in other words, just pretending it's not there or saying you shouldn't have fears. Okay, I shouldn't have fears. You know, you do. And we have to use the spiritual solution to get rid of those fears. So it's nice to have that today. Other people don't have a spiritual solution to their fears. But then again, they wouldn't drink over them either. So it's not killing them like it's killing us. There's something in the brain that when we take a drink, it actually numbs our fear receptors in our brain. And that's why we drink. And that's why we drink so much. Normal people, it doesn't do the same thing. And so thank God that the Big Book gave us a way to solve that fear, because I don't think any of us could get sober if we didn't have a spiritual solution to our fears, our horrible fears. Unhappy drinkers who read this page will understand.
Why we all found this room. That's why I found it. Now and then, a serious drinker, being dry at the moment, says, I don't miss it at all. Feel better, work better, having a better time. As ex-problem drinkers, we smile at such a sally. We know our friend is like a boy whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits. He fools himself. Inwardly, he would give anything to take half a dozen drinks and get away with them. He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. He cannot picture life without alcohol. Someday, he will be unable to imagine life either with alcohol or without it. Then he will know loneliness such as few do. He will be at the jumping off place. He will wish for the end.
Now and then a serious drinker being dry at the moment says, I don't miss it at all, feel better, working better, having a better time. Whistling. Just like we read. Pretending we don't have fears doesn't remove our fears. He fools himself. Inwardly, he would give anything to take a half a dozen drinks and get away with them. I don't know about you, but I really thought about that for a long time. You know, the first step is to truly believe that we can never safely pick up alcohol in any form. In any form. And so I just quit smoking not too long ago, and people were like, are you taking any nicotine products? And I said, oh, you mean like Jose Cuervo gum or a Jack Daniels patch? And I think of that all the time when any alcohol in any form. We have to realize that any alcohol in our body works as an allergy. And as soon as we put any alcohol in our body, it is going to set off the phenomenon of craving. And we will have no control about picking up the second drink then. And it might not, you know what's funny is I used to test this in the 4.5 years. I used to test this little theory. And so I would take a drink, and then I would take no other drink that day and say, oh, those AAs are crazy. I took one drink. You know, but then the next day I'd take 100 of them, you know. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. The one drink sets off the phenomenon of craving, whether it takes 1 day to drink it, an hour to drink it, or a week to drink it, it's set off. Okay, so in case you want to do that little trick, I did that, didn't work. He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. He cannot picture life without alcohol. Someday he will be unable to imagine life either with alcohol or without it. Then he will know loneliness such as few do. He will be at the jumping off place. He will wish for the end.
We have shown how we got out from under. You say, yes, I'm willing, but am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum like some righteous people I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? Yes, there is a substitute, and it is vastly more than that. It is a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. There you will find release from care, boredom, and worry. Your imagination will be fired. Life will mean something at last. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead. Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you.
Yes, there is a substitute, and it's vastly more than that. It is a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. There you'll find release from care, boredom, and worry. When they talk about this, isn't that true? I mean, just spend an entire day in this 101 club, and you will definitely not be bored. This 101 club is a lot more exciting than any general hospital, One Life to Live, or anything like that. All the things that go on in here. And the release from worry. How do we get released from worry? Who gets released from worry in this life? Nobody. Why do we? Because we believe that God is in control of our lives. We gave our lives to God.
How is that to come about, you ask? Where am I to find these people? You're going to meet these friends in your own community. Near you, alcoholics are dying helplessly like people in a sinking ship. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds, high and low, rich and poor. These are future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them, you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties, for you will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. Then you will know what it means to give of yourself, that others may survive and rediscover life. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. It may seem incredible that these men are to become happy, respected, and useful once more. How can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness? The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you. Should you wish them above all else and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. I can relate again to what we just read, because when I first tried to quit drinking, I wasn't really involved in the rooms. I wasn't involved in AA or anything like that, and I felt boring. I felt useless. I was like, what is this life? I have nothing to do, you know? And since I've been coming around these rooms, this time, being down here, I've found such amazing things, amazing relationships, friendships, and it's all real. And I mean, I've never been so happy in my entire life as I am now, because I have this fellowship, because I have my higher power, because I have these steps that I work every day. Yes?
I'm an alcoholic named Pat.
Hi, Pat.
The one thing that I really liked here is that the substitute, when they said for the boring, long life, like some righteous people they say, is in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the fellowship, I mean, the people involved and the service they do for each other. But what I realized is that's the basis of how Alcoholics Anonymous got started, is one person helping another person. So it's not only the basis of the sobriety, but it's also the void that you're filling. I mean, I don't know, it struck a chord with me, and it was nice to see that they can associate the fun, like you were saying, sobriety, with the importance of learning about recovery and how to live a sober life.
Thank you for sharing. Our hope is that when this chip of a book is launched on the world tide of alcoholism, defeated drinkers will seize upon it to follow its suggestions. Many, we are sure, will rise to their feet and march on. They will approach still other sick ones, and fellowships of Alcoholics Anonymous may spring up in each city and hamlet, havens for those who must find a way out.
At least we have tools to get rid of our resentments today, just like we have tools to get rid of fear. But first you have to identify them. You have to call them what they are, you know? Because others are out there, man. My friend Christine, she's got a bumper sticker on her truck. It says, "It's not them." In other words, it's you, you know? So I saw her bumper sticker. It said, "It's not them." And I went up to her and I said, "Christine," I said, "you don't know the people I know." Because it is them. I'll introduce you to them. She laughed, said, "No, Marilyn, it's not them. It's you." So I was like, okay, it's me. The reality of knowing that it's you, knowing that you can change you through God today is a very exciting possibility, because it's a good thing it's not them, because you know what? You can't change them. So if it was them, we'd be in big trouble. We do have a method to change us, and that's God working in our lives, removing our character defects. We have the 11th step every day, taking our character defects to God, asking Him to remove them. We have our 10th step, as they crop up, taking our character defects to God and asking forgiveness for those who we affect. We have to actually ask God to remove them. It says, "We smile at such a sally. We know our friend is like a little boy whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits. He fools himself." You know, to thy own self be true. This is a program of honesty, and self-honesty is what it's all about. It's not a matter of whether you should have resentments or whether you should have fears. You do. I remember once I was in a meeting, we were talking about the 4th step and talking about resentments. And there was a guy in the meeting raised his hand and he said, "I don't have any resentments." And I said, "Wow, how sad." No, because I know, you know, the guy had resentments. You know, because of others. You know, because others are constantly gonna hurt you. They're gonna step on your toes. They're gonna constantly threaten your instincts. We tried to do it ourselves. Let's look back right after how it works. So page 60, last paragraph. "The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good." Wow, isn't that true? Even though our motives are good. How many times has somebody done something to you and they said, "Well, I meant well," but they still did something really rotten to you? So it's not about motives, it's about actions. It's about the reality of what you actually do, not about what you thought. Because we can always justify or rationalize our motives, but it's what we do. Right actions develops right thinking. Most people think that it's the other way around, that when we get our thinking straightened out, then we'll get our actions in order. But you take the right actions and your thinking will come along. All right, most people like to live by self-propulsion. Most people, even non-alcoholics, they're talking about here. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased, life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor might seem quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest, but as with most of us, he is more likely to have varied traits. I love the way Bill did that. He put all the nice traits first and then the mean ones. So people can go, yes, I'm like that first one. You know, yeah, right. But anyway, what usually happens, the show doesn't come off well. He decides to exert himself more, keep going. Okay, down to this, and do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can out of the show. We cause our own trouble because we're trying to tell other people what to do. They retaliate, and we wonder what happened. Why are they so mean to us? And we caused it. And it happens all the time. And it says here, is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than of harmony? We produce the confusion. Not God. We do. Okay, so go to the next page, page 62. Middle of the page. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of selfishness. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of the selfishness. We must. Or it kills us. Other people don't have to get rid of the selfishness because they're not going to pick up a drink. And for us, when we pick up a drink, we pick up a million drinks, and we're going to die. Die now, die later, die of cirrhosis of the liver, we're going to die. It kills us. Okay? But we have a solution. Okay? Neither could we, skip a couple of lines, neither could we reduce our self-centeredness by wishing or trying on our own power. We can't be whistling in a way. We can't be like the little boy wishing we weren't selfish. We had to have God's help. So this is the how and why of it. We have a solution. Praise God. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. If it worked, if others would do as we said, it would be, we'd like that. But they don't. Next, we decided that hereafter in the drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. Isn't that beautiful? We have a solution today that others don't have. God is our director. God runs our life today. Okay. So it says here, life will mean something at last. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead. Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you. It's really funny because I was talking to some people about Lee this week, and he's got 28 years of sobriety, and he died, and they said, oh, great, we're going to get drunk, we're going to get sober, and then we're going to die. It's like, he had 28 years. He was happy. He loved this fellowship. He loved helping people, and he went to a lot of meetings, and he helped a lot of people. So, hey, if you get 28 years, that's not bad. But we're so negative. It's like, oh yeah, you get sober and then you die. It's like, hey, guess what? You're all going to die. Hello. But some of us are going to have a life between the quitting and the dying, which is really nice because everybody quits drinking. Everybody, every single person quits drinking. Some of us get to live after we quit, but everybody quits. All right. Anyway. Thus we find this fellowship, and so will you. How is that to come about, you ask? Where am I to find these people? These are the chapters I was talking about, where these people had to go out and make their own meetings. We don't have to do that. What a wonderful thing. For us. I don't know if it's wonderful, because maybe there's a lot of wonderful things to going out and making your own meetings, too. But, what a vast number of meetings we have in this Tri-County area that you can get to constantly. Plus you have resources like Tom taping all of Jim's meetings. So this is a nice little thing to have. We have a purpose today. We have a purpose. In order to keep it, we have to give it away. And this is the vision for you.
What was that your reading? You said you had a group. I didn't hear the name of it.
It's called Why We Were Chosen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing. Ask Martha Stewart. It's a good thing. All right, now how are you going to find these people? You're going to meet these friends in your own community. Near you, the alcoholics are dying helplessly like people on a sinking ship. Amen. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds. Obviously, around here, there are millions. High and low, rich and poor. These are future fellows in Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them, you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties, for you will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. Then you will know what it means to give of yourself that others may survive and rediscover life. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. What a beautiful vehicle we have to really save lives. You know? Those of us who aren't doctors, we are especially blessed because we really do save lives here. It may seem incredible that these men are to become happy, respected, and useful once more. How can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness? The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you. Isn't that the hope of this big book? If it happened for them, it can happen for me. If I do what they did, I'll get what they got. This book is written of experience. This is a history book. This is not a theory book. This is not a theory like, this is one way we found, and if you do this, maybe it'll work. This is exactly what we did. Precisely how we recovered is the purpose of this book. And if you do what they did, you'll get what they got. It's a if-then. It's, I just wrote something today in the sponsorship workshop. And while I'm at it, I'll put in a little plug for our sponsorship workshop. Jim was there today. So come to our sponsorship workshop. We wore them out, I guess. Jim talked about it's all automatic. If we do, we get. Turn to page 85. Keep your finger in 152 and turn to page 85. We react sanely and normally, and we find that this has happened automatically. In other words, by doing the steps, automatically, these things have happened for us. We react sanely. We were insane. Step 2. And we became sane automatically by doing these steps. By the way, this is found in step 10, this paragraph here. And there's a lot of promises in this particular paragraph. There's a lot of promises all throughout the book. It's funny, like Jim says, when people read the promises, and they act like those are the only promises in the book. There's lots of promises in this book. They're all through all the steps, and this is one of them. This is a pretty good one. It happens automatically. You get this stuff. It happens for everyone, just like Dr. Bob said. It happens for everyone who works it. It happens for everyone if you go into it with half the zeal that you went to get in your next drink. He must have seen you. The practical answer is that since these things have happened to you, they could have happened among us, they can happen with you. It should say they will happen with you, because it happens every time. Should you wish them above everything else and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. Okay. Should you wish them above everything else and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come. It's the willingness that starts the ball rolling. Turn to page 46. The last paragraph, a little after the center, we found that God does not make too hard of terms with those who seek Him. To us, the realm of the Spirit is broad, roomy, all-inclusive, never exclusive or forbidding to all those who earnestly seek. It is open, we believe, to all men. He wants us to ask. He wants us to seek. And then we'll have it. So where it says here, they can happen with you, it says they will happen with you. Because it will happen to all who earnestly seek. Okay? So, getting back to 153, should you wish them above everything else and be willing to make use of our experience. How do you make use of their experience? You do what they did. You follow precisely how we have recovered. Let's talk about this. I keep bringing this precisely up, so let's turn to it. Roman numerals. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women. We sure are more than 100 men and women. How many millions? 5 million? That's more than 100. Who have recovered. Now it says recovered. It doesn't say about to get better. We've recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body to show other alcoholics precisely, there's my word, how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. And skip a sentence, we think that our account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Okay, so anyway, getting back to 153. And I'm going to read that line one more time because it's really important. Should you wish them above everything else and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. You are a miracle. You know your story. You know you're a miracle. You know you've seen miracles. Our own recovery proves that. Today Jim was talking about this. We were reading how we agnostics, and it's like, how do we know there's a God? Okay, a God that you can't really see. We see miracles in others, and we know there's a God. When you tell me how you used to be, and I see you the way you are today, I see miracles in this room, and that's the beauty of it. And so, how do we know there's a God? By watching others in this room. How do we also know there's a God? By stepping out of faith, leaps of faith. And then when God works in those leaps of faith, we see our own experiences come true, and our faith grows. So there's two ways that our faith grows in here: seeing you and your miracles, and by leaps of faith, and watching God work through that. So our own recovery proves that the age of miracles is still with us. So I think we've proved that there's a God. And I'm very excited because my time has passed. Stick around for the language of the heart. And now we're going to get Sarah back up here because she was doing such a good job. I'm going to make her do the chips. Get up here, Sarah. Happy hour with the counter. Hey, don't keep going. Okay. There you go.
Marilyn usually does the chips tonight. I don't know if I'll be able to.
No, come on, just do it. If I gotta be Jim, you gotta be me.
Yeah, right. My name's Sarah. I'm still an alcoholic.
Hey, Sarah.
And in Alcoholics Anonymous, we have a chip system. This chip business symbolizes that we pick up a drink, we are gambling with our lives. So, and we have a red, white, and blue chip, right, Marilyn?
That's right.
What does that symbolize?
Freedom.
Freedom, our freedom from our alcoholism. So, we have the white chip, which is the sign of hope and serenity, right?
Yeah, sure.
And Come on, white chip.
White chip. Start the spell.
Okay, that's sweet. Congratulations.
What's his name?
Jake.
Jake. Ask Jake if he needs a where and when.
Jake, do you need a where and when? Okay. And then we have this red chip, which is for 90 days, and it's red because by now you should have read the big book.
Yes! That's good.
I don't know where I got that from.
That's excellent.
So, does anyone have 90 days today? No one? Okay, keep going. And then we have the blue chip. I forgot why it's blue. It doesn't really matter, but it's blue. And it's for 6 months.
There you
So
go.
Does anyone have
Good
6
enough
months?
reason.
Yes!
What's her name?
Bill and Marilyn.
Marilyn. What a
Marilyn,
beautiful
yeah.
name.
Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and then we've got this special chip. It's in here somewhere. This is today. No, this is the 9-month medallion, and there's a whole big story behind it. And
It's ugly.
I'm just not experienced. It's an ugly
Oh,
story.
God. It's ugly.
I can't even get into it right now. But it's a very special medallion. So, does anyone have 9 months? Oh, That's awesome. Okay, and so now I'm supposed to, does anyone have a birthday this month?
Oh,
We
yeah.
celebrate you.
Good
We
idea.
have a whoopee party.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
That's on the last Saturday of every month. And what month are we in? October.
October.
October. So is anyone celebrating with us? So they need to give us their name. Our
Yes.
How many years? 14.
Yeah.
Can we write it down?
I wrote that down here.
Who else? Anyone else celebrating this month?
I already have.
I guess that's it for me. And here's Marilyn.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. However, this girl is enthusiastic. And I think we should be enthusiastic about our lives because they're...
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Anyway, Jim is gonna be back. Seriously, he was back today at 1:30, you know, but he was looking a little tired. I mean, you're 75, I guess you get a break once in a while, right? Yeah, because we've been really working him at work really terribly hard. So, plus he does, how many meetings does he do every week? He does 8 of these sessions, for which personally, I do one of these, I go home and I sleep for 3 days, you know, so I don't know. He does 8 a week. He's got a full-time job. He's 75, you know, but, you know, give the guy a break. But he should be back next week. All willing, and the creek, I guess the creek must have risen today or something, right? Yeah, the creek. That's what happened to him. The Crick brothers. Because he always says, I'll be with you next week if the creek don't rise. So the creek must have risen. But anyway, please stick with us with the language of the heart. It is a very exciting meeting because by this time of the night, everybody's like really like kind of spacey. So they say really weird things in our discussion. So it's like really a lot of fun, right? Anyway, okay. Well, thanks a lot, you guys, and let's close. Here in the Stairway Group, we don't say anything after we say amen. Usually they go, keep coming back. Yeah, it works if it works too. Oh, that crap. We don't say that crap. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver. Listen, I really, thank you. My name is Marilyn. I'm an alcoholic. This really teaches me something that you always got to be ready. And I came to the meeting tonight without my big book, and it's like my security blanket because I have all my notes in here. I have everything all cross-referenced and underlined, and so without my particular big book, I felt like I couldn't give the meeting. But it's really important. This really proves that it's really important not only to learn this stuff, but to realize that you're learning it so that you can teach it to others. This is the second experience this week that taught me that. Earlier this week, I had a very drunken employee situation. And we had just finished up last week with the chapter to the employers. And my bookmark happened to be in the exact page that I had to use in the actual situation. And I thought that was a very spiritual thing. I took it very seriously because it was this girl's life that we were talking about. It was a life and death matter. When I did approach the girl, because on page 148, I just want to talk about this for a second and then we'll get back to vision for you. It says it boils right down to this. No man should be fired just because he's an alcoholic. If he wants to stop, he should be afforded a real chance. If he cannot or does not want to stop, he should be discharged. So I read this to this girl. She had missed 4 out of 5 days. So I thought that was kind of a problem. She called in sick on Monday, saying that she had female problems, and I would understand because I'm a female. And Tuesday, I was sitting at my desk talking to somebody on the phone. We had another position open, so I was talking to someone about that position, and I smelled her before I saw her. All of a sudden, I smelled alcohol, and I was like, whoa, and I look up, and she was bouncing, just walking sideways into chairs, and I had never seen her drunk before. And I started shaking my hand, and 6 people I work with in the same room are in AA, so they're all staring at me because I'm the supervisor, looking at me like, what I gotta do, and I'm just like shaking my head and just kept talking on the phone because I knew that she would be there when I got off the phone. So she bounced around, and it was really kind of comical, but at the same time, it was sad, and it shook us all up because, I don't know what environments you guys are in, but I work in an environment where all my bosses are in AA, and 99% of the people I work with are in AA, and I go to meetings, and I'm not really around active alcoholism too much. And when she walked in, once in a while, you'll have somebody drunk come into a meeting, and we feel like, oh, good, there's somebody drunk. It's like, but man, when it's brought right into your workplace, especially after you just read 2 employers and you're the employer, it was really amazing. So I read that to her, and she said, I'm so glad. I didn't know how she was going to take it. I figured she was going to say, well, hey, listen, I don't have a problem, and it was going to be a big fight. And she said, my doctor told me a year ago that if I don't quit drinking, I'm going to die. And I said, well, have you been to AA? She says, no, I wouldn't go. She goes, but now I guess I better go. And I was like, thank you, Lord. It was the most amazing experience. And she called me today. And when I said to her, well, you want me to take you to a meeting? And she said, actually, I have friends that are in AA. They've been asking me to go. So sure enough, today she said that her friends took her to the meeting at Fifth Dimension, is that it, in Hollywood, or around Presidential Circle there? And I guess she wouldn't have known about the name of the meeting if they didn't take her. I trust people, as far as I can throw them. But so she went to the meeting, and she said everything's going good, and she'll see me on Monday. So I'm just really excited about about this book, because this book saves lives. And we have to learn this book in order to practice it in our lives. And what a great opportunity that was this week. We have shown how we got from under. You say, yes, I'm willing. And willingness is the key in all the steps. It's brought up in We Agnostics. It's brought up in the 6th chapter and in the 9th. Only willingness can enable us to move ahead with our steps. Okay. Yes, I'm willing, but am I supposed to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum? I think I'm pretty consigned to a life. Personally, I've come to the conclusion that no matter what, I'm pretty stupid, but my life is definitely not boring and glum. So anyway, like some righteous people I see, I know I must get along without alcohol, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? How does an Al-Anon shake hands? Like this. Ah, yeah, you know that one. You must live with an Al-Anon. Al-Anon shake. What does an Al-Anon see right before they die? Alcoholic's life flashes before their eyes. Alright, that's the Al-Anon bashing. No, we like to. I sent my husband to Al-Anon for 4.5 years. And I think I did him a favor because they say that Al-Anon's a really good thing, so it's a good thing I went out and drank so he could go to Al-Anon. Oh well. All right, now let's get. Oh. All right, let's get started again. I wanted to read something to you I picked up at Intergroup. Which, by the way, if you haven't had the pleasure of visiting our Intergroup office, it's downtown, right next to Riverwalk, and there's a parking garage there, and it's right next to it in the One River Plaza building there at Andrews. And it's interesting. You see all the AA literature. They have AA people working there. There's also a hotline, people who look up AA. There's volunteers. In fact, you could volunteer to go down there and answer the phone. You could also get on a list so that when they're closed, you'll be on a relay, so the calls will be directed to you. It's very interesting to go down to our Intergroup office, which is downtown. But anyhow, just a little plug. And I got this little piece of literature because I thought it was so profound. I personally, like I said, I was out there drinking for 4.5 years, and I felt that I had a real touch from God. I felt like God told me, Marilyn, you could get sober again. And we had a conversation, I felt like. And I said, yeah, I know I could get sober, God. I was sober for 14 years. He said, no, but you're going to be happy. I said, but I'm happy drinking, God. I really like drinking. And he said, no, Marilyn, you're going to be happy sober. And I said, how am I going to be happy sober? He said, because you're going to help people. And I thought that this was this big revelation that God had chosen me as the helper of the alcoholic. And you guys would be all so happy to see me because I was going to help you. And then little did I realize, but every other sentence in this book talks about how each and every one of us have to help others as part of our recovery, in the 12th step. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics. So every one of us was given that same message. I just felt that mine was special and unique. And then I thought, oh, I'm not special and unique at all. But you know what I am? I'm special and unique because I can help people that nobody else can help. And you are special and unique because there's somebody out there that only you can help, that nobody else can help. And there's people that you're going to run into that nobody else is ever going to run into, and you're going to be the only copy of the Big Book that they ever see. So this chapter, A Vision for You, which talks about going out and making little groups in your community, and we say, okay, well, there's already a bunch of groups, it doesn't really apply. It does. It does for that one person that you're going to meet that nobody else is going to meet. It's a matter of their life or death. Because I work with another guy at work. This guy's in his 70s, and his daughter died last year. She was 40 years old, and she died from a brain aneurysm during a crack run. This is life and death. So, anyway, so you are uniquely helpful where no one else can be, and that's what this chapter talks, this little pamphlet talks about why we were chosen. I'm going to read it to you. God in His wisdom selected this group of men and women to be the purveyors of His goodness. In selecting them, through whom to bring about this phenomenon, He went not to the proud, the mighty, the famous, or to the brilliant, obviously. He went to the humble, to the sick, to the unfortunate. He went right to the drunkard, the so-called weakling of the world. Well might He have said to us, unto the weak and feeble hands I have entrusted a power beyond estimate. To you has been given that which has been denied the most learned of your fellows. It's not the psychiatrists of alcoholism that teach this to you, it's us, the fellow alcoholic. Not to scientists or statesmen, not to wives or mothers, although the wives and mothers try, don't they? Not to scientists or statesmen, not to or ministers, not even to my priests or ministers have I given this gift of healing other alcoholics, which I entrust to you. It must be used unselfishly. It carries with it grave responsibility. We're saving lives. No day can be too long, no demands upon your time be too urgent, no case too pitiable, no task too hard, no effort too great. It must be used with tolerance, for I have restricted its application to no race, no creed, and no denomination. Personal criticism you must expect. And I know that Jim has been the butt of much personal criticism in his trying to get across this Big Book message. And he takes it with a grain of salt because when you speak the truth, people are going to be against you. Anyway, lack of appreciation will be common. Ridicule will be your lot. Your motives will be misjudged. Success will not always attend your efforts in your work with other alcoholics. Just ask Bill. His first attempts were unfruitful. He stayed sober. You must be prepared for adversity, for what men call adversity is the ladder you must use to ascend the rungs towards spiritual perfection. Wow. And remember, in the exercise of this power, I shall not exact of you beyond your capabilities. God never asks any more of us than we can handle. You are not selected because of exceptional talents. And I thought I was. And be careful always if success attends your efforts, not to ascribe to personal superiority that to which you can lay claim only by virtue of my gift. If I had wanted learned men to accomplish this mission, the power would have been entrusted to the physicians and to the scientists. If I had wanted eloquent men, there would have been many anxious for the assignment, for talk is the easiest kind of all talents, which I have endowed mankind. If I had wanted scholarly men, the world is filled with better qualified men than you who would be available. You were selected because you have been the outcasts of the world, and your long experience as drunkards has made or should make you humbly alert to the cries of distress that come from the lonely hearts of alcoholics everywhere. Keep ever in mind the admission you made on the day of your profession in Alcoholics Anonymous, namely that you are powerless, and that if it was only with your willingness you turn your life and will unto my keeping, that relief came to you.